It's been so long that I've gotten a new microphone between episodes, but now I'm gonna try and gun through the rest of the LP. I've got all the footage now. Baggage Claim is an interesting title for a chapter. It kind of confused me at first. I had to remember what we're doing here. Rendezvousing with a guy named Yargo Menzik atop the Lazarian Port Authority so that we can get equipment to new orders. We've quote-unquote landed in Lazaria, just disembarked, and now it's time to claim our baggage. I think that's what it means anyway. The coastline path is bringing us to a Lazarian military camp. The first fight in this chapter might be the first one in a while that isn't trying to tutorialize or acclimate the player. This is just the game knuckling down and saying, time for a review. That first ammo box placement is insidious. If you walk across that opening, you're going to get shot. So if you want to get the ammo safely, you have to glaive it and steal it. The fight against the Lazarian troopers here is kind of a spike in difficulty, but not at first. You've got solid cover here, and there's not much the troopers can get you with besides grenades. And on this particular run, one of them completely botched the throw. It's when you're forced to advance that things get tricky. You see, they stop attacking after a certain point. You might think the fight is over as you move up. You'd be wrong. Even when you're expecting more troopers to spawn, there's just not any good cover you can easily get to on this side of the battlefield, and there are far more angles from which the troopers can shoot you. And as I said in Chapter 1, there aren't many audio cues to let you know where the enemies are around corners. So yeah, I died twice on this fight, pretty much right where I'm standing now. Warframe players who've modded a throwing weapon might recognize this ability. Power Throw. It's a damage upgrade to the glaive, but only if you time the throw right. There's a short hold window on the input of the glaive attack. Time it right, and you get the golden Power Throw. If you aim and throw, the reticle will show you the correct timing, but what makes this ability amazing is that you can learn the timing and use it offhand, no reticle required. The game now introduces special chain locks that can only be opened with Power Throw. Here, it's a tutorial gating measure, but they show up every now and again to lock doors or supply chests.
Oh God, they're everywhere! We need backup! Group D, fall back to the port. We've got a foothold here. They're coming out of the walls! Group D, repeat, you need to fall back to the port. Deploy your Enperon and retreat. I think it fit me. Everyone's dead. They're just watching me. Shit! Oh, my head is pounding. Why aren't they attacking me? I am so cold. Group D, what is your situation? My skin, it's on fire. No, it's happening.
That was the game telling you, yeah, the Lazarian troopers are colossal jerks, but remember that the infection is far and away the bigger problem. We're collecting all these upgrades, and we can't even install them yet. We don't get that capability until the beginning of Chapter 4, which is a little frustrating but understandable. The game isn't done teaching you how the glaive works yet. And here, I'm determined to open the gate without aiming, just to show it can be done. Now that we've learned something new, it's time for a combat encounter specifically designed to encourage us to use it. Here's a nice, long, linear section of the map perfect for lining up power throw shots. Now remember, we're on brutal difficulty, and even then, the power throw will easily one-shot troopers, bisecting them in the process. It's a digital extremes game for sure. It's gory, brutal, and just plain satisfying when it lands. If there's one problem with the power throw, it's this. As much as you may want it to, the power throw does not extend the glaive's limited range. So this encounter is also designed to show you the power throw's limitations as well as its strengths. You still have to advance, you still have to use your gun. And in the thick of things, sometimes it's okay to settle for a normal throw just so you can get some damage and stagger going. When you get close to the end of this path, the fight's still not over yet. The map spreads out and suddenly there's a lot more angles to cover. After the tutorial section, the game goes back to being a more challenging combat encounter.
How are they getting in? Good power to the elevators!
The mini-boss of this encounter is that gun nest. Our pistol is too inaccurate, and the glaive's range is too short, so the challenge here is finding the path of cover that'll get you up close and personal. So you might notice that brown smoke popping up every so often. The hazmat troopers don't carry frag grenades like their counterparts. Instead, they carry Enferon. Now that we're infected, if we step into that gas, it'll do some minor damage over time and mess with our senses. As far as methods to get you out of cover goes, it works. And we accidentally stepped into some Enferon. That's basically the effect. It confuses and irritates. Not pleasant, but not that dangerous either. What's annoying about it is that I couldn't even see the Enferon I stepped into. A lot of times it can be hard to judge the hitbox of the gas. Now that we're in the gun nest's blind spot, it's just a matter of getting an angle on the gunner and taking him out. I heard them shouting about locking down the elevators or something earlier. The way forward can be a little tricky to find. The doors to the building won't open, the gate to the side won't open. Turns out the path ahead is the trapdoor off to the side of the gun nest. Sure, why wouldn't it be? Gotta check around to see if there's more ammo and rubles, but there's not much here. Not that I'm hurting for any right now, but it's kind of annoying to miss anything in this game. And now we're in the sewers. Good times. That's how you can tell it's a 2008 game. What was that? Well, we can kind of guess, but I was legitimately creeped out for a second. I don't handle jump scares well. Thankfully, there's only like one in the whole game, but the rest is just building atmosphere. Ah, looks like we found a Group D. And a really tricky upgrade. And some rubles in the dark.
Group D, what is your situation?
Here's where things get interesting. The glaive can grab elements from the environment and carry them for a limited time. Okay, maybe not that interesting. It's, using elements to solve puzzles and open doors isn't that novel of a concept in gaming, even by this point. Electricity opens those doors, and if Hayden is standing in front of the door when it opens, he gets knocked down, which I think is a nice humorous touch. The timing on that door opening hitbox can be a little weird, though. Oh, hi guys. Welcome to our first encounter with the infected. They bisect even better than the troopers. Whew. Well, that kind of speaks for itself. Basic melee guys swarming, pretty standard stuff. And then they double up the encounter. Here's how electricity works in combat. The charge stays on for a limited time, but while it's on, you get a significant damage boost. So, these infected didn't turn out nearly as well as Hayden. Kind of your basic mutated zombie effect. So far, so Resident Evil. The music in that fight does most of the work in making things creepy, and to its credit, it's hard not to panic when that kicks in, especially your first time. Well, this looks like a nice room. Anyone who's played Dark Sector, but not for a while, probably only remembers a few key moments, and this will probably be one of them. The finished video you're watching probably has poorer contrast than the game, but only slightly. Being only barely able to see is what makes this room work as its gimmick. But wait, this room has a secret weapon. This is not meant to be obvious, I don't think. It's just that if you're paying attention, you can get an awesome reward for this room only. And yeah, once you've killed enough, a few more break down the other door and you can escape. This can be hard to realize in the darkness and the chaos. I remember my first run of this game, where I just ran around this room for an extra minute or two because I didn't realize the exit had opened up. This game has a frequent conveyance problem, where the path forward is a little hard to figure out when it really shouldn't be. Before you leave, make sure to grab ammo and the upgrade just around the corner. It isn't the sneakiest upgrade in the game, but like a bunch of them, it's easy to miss. So, can anyone tell me why we were in the sewers in the first place? Because that seems like a terrible idea in hindsight. And we're out. But that helicopter sound isn't a good sign.
This is a part of what you are.
Now we have aftertouch. Aftertouch, aftertouch, aftertouch. I could explain why aftertouch is one of the greatest features in this game, but I'd rather just show you. We interrupt this Aftertouch showcase to bring you Shield Troopers. You can use the glaive to stagger them. The power throw staggers them for even longer. It's possible to Aftertouch around the shield and slice them from an angle, like come around from the top or something like that, but it's really tricky. This is way simpler. Back to the Aftertouch demonstration. Notice how the map was designed for this. The raised position, the odd angles of attack from the sides encouraging you to use the glaive. The only stumbling block is that shield guy, who I think is there to remind you to keep an eye on your surroundings. That there is the last upgrade you can find before you can actually start using them. Fire rate, firepower, accuracy, firepower again, double shot, and clip extender. I'll just tell you right now, that's way more mods than you'll actually be able to use to start. The game assumes that you'll probably find a couple of them, but certainly not all of them. The importance of rubles is also something we'll talk about next chapter, but suffice to say that you don't want to miss that big briefcase of 3,000 of them. Oh, that spot in the corner looks like more rubles. Oh well. And that piece of debris on the shelf. This game is driving me insane already. That's the last lootable location, so it's time to move on. And just in case you didn't get the idea from the fight, let's make absolutely sure. Does the player know how to use Aftertouch to hit a target at least once? There's a fence in the way and a button on the other side. Boy, would have been embarrassing if I'd missed that on the first try.
Lower your weapon, Solnishka.
Yargo, you've got something for me?
I do. I have your updated orders from the AD. I have also arranged for you to acquire weapons and explosives.
No, thanks.
You don't want to take it, but you don't have choice. This will slow your infection. It'll buy you time.
Show me what you've got.
Your harbor explosion has released the infected Mesner had captured. We believe Mesner has planned to collect them, bring them into the open, so his Lesdrian thugs can capture them. He had Viktor Sudek repair old Soviet ULF transmitter. These transmitters were used in the 80s to draw in the infected, like moths to a flame.
Nadia.
Are you paying attention? This transmitter is hidden in an old bunker inside the Lesdrian catacombs. You will enter via church. You are to disrupt Mesner's operation by destroying transmitter. Take the sat phone.
How am I going to destroy the transmitter?
Take this to the underground. They'll give you the explosives you need. Guns too, without the governors on them. If price is right. Even and as well drowns, rats will swim. I hope you won't find the sewers unpleasant.
Well, what do we have here?
There is a large platoon of Grenier Marines stationed here. Leave no one standing.
Throughout the troubled meta-history of Dark Sector and Warframe, the Lotus symbol survives. In Warframe, we know it as the Lotus, the Tenno's omnipresent protector and guide. In the original Dark Sector concept video, it's in a couple of key places, mainly the Proto-Excalibur armor and the Proto-Title. Throughout all three games, the Lotus is the symbol of the hero, or at least a good greater than the rest, and also a symbol of something advanced, something beyond what everything else is capable of. The Lotus is not just an icon that happens to be in both games, but in some way represents the spirit that survived all those years until Warframe came out. Seeing the Lotus symbol here in this game means that, despite the devastating change in genre from futuristic sci-fi to modern supernatural, something from that old concept survived. It's in the margins right now, there's no guarantee you'll even see it at this point, but it's there. You can see the passion for the old project bleeding through. As the game goes on, more remnants of the Dark Sector of the past will appear, and they will serve as a reflection of the Warframe of the future. That's what makes this game so fascinating to me.